That's right, folks. DWeezy's back with another episode of Lunchtable Roundup. So come grab a seat and find some juicy lines to sink your teeth into. Now, in this episode, we're going to be breaking down a little bit of Major League Baseball and some NHL hockey. We do have the playoffs on the ice, and hopefully, we'll find some winners along the way and put a little money in your pockets. Now, going into the first game I'll be playing, we got the Oakland A's taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. We got Kluber versus Montas taking the rubber. I think this will be a little bit of a better pitching matchup, even though the matchup the night before we had a lot of runs, but most of that came late in that game for Tampa. They exploded for a number of runs in extra innings, but if I'm not mistaken, a majority of that game, first six, seven, if not 8 innings, they only had one run. So unless we see another bullpen debacle out of the A's, I think the under in this game come in well. I'm gonna be on the under 7. Now going on to my next matchup, we got the Marlins and the Arizona Diamondbacks. This was a this was a game I played the other day, thinking Marlins have been playing well. Get your team while they're hot. A lot of this is trends. Finding the team at the right time may not be a good team, but all teams do get hot throughout a season, especially a season like in baseball where you have 162 games. Not every team loses them all. Now, unfortunately, when I was on the Marlins in the earlier matchup against the Diamondbacks, they were heavy favorite on the money line. Something felt wrong, and unfortunately, they didn't come through for me. Looking at this matchup, the Marlins have not done well against left handed pitching. And though I do not consider Bumgarner to be one of the better pitchers in the league, that under 7.5 does look tempting. That's the way I'm leaning in this game. Um, you know, you could be on the opposite side of that. You think Bumgarner might implode and the Marlins jump all over him, and that early jump, early boost of runs helps cover that total by the end of the game. Me personally, like I said, I'm gonna be on the under 7.5. Now going into this next matchup is another game total, but I'll actually be going with the over here. It's actually a trend with this ballpark. Anybody that knows baseball and knows Colorado, the air's thinner there, folks. It's a fact. Balls tend to fly out of the stadium in Colorado. It's something that's plagued pitchers as far as from a team aspect, but it's also something that's always been a batter's benefit and always been in that back pocket. Now, in this game, we have a high total if you were to compare it to most other matchups, but a game being played in Colorado, 10.5 is not an uncommon total. And I think the teams will cover it. The Nationals have been swinging a bit of a better bat. The Rockies are playing well at home. The over is covering at home in, I believe, 7 out of the last 10 matchups. You'll hear me preach it. This game is about trends, tendencies, and you work those numbers in your favor, you're more likely than not going to end up on the right side of a winning bet. So in this game, over 10.5, that's my play. Now to switch things up, as I said, cover a variety of sports here at B.A.M. We're not just a one trick pony. Going over to some of the playoff hockey that we got the LA Kings taking on the Edmonton Oilers. This was a game I cashed on in the first matchup. I had the game total over 6. Game ended up tied 3-3 in the third period. As y'all know, over 6, tied at 3. Somebody's got to win. One more goal means 7. That ticket was cashed long before that puck ever reached the net. Now, they have this game priced right about the same. Over 6.5 is my play. I think that total will be covered. Um, the Oilers have been a strong team. They have a lot of talent. Those that follow hockey, you know the name Connor McDavid, even if you don't follow hockey. Um, and that showed in this past game. I would not be surprised to see the Oilers put up 3, 4 goals in this game. I think it'll be competitive. I think it'll be strong. You know, that over could get covered even if we see a more wild score that has come about as we've seen in other matchups. You could get a 5-1, well, 5-2 score. Um, that tends to go against some of past logic with playoff hockey where you see defense show up a little more. But if these teams are out here scoring and those are what the trends are telling you, then that's the way you got to go sometimes. So over 6.5. We're moving on to the next playoff matchup. Now, here we got the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. As I just mentioned, that was a matchup in their first game. Carolina won the game 5-1. Yeah. This game total, it's right at the same number as the first game, 5.5. A little bit lower than the rest of the games on the market. Yeah, I was proven wrong in the first matchup. Over 5.5. I do think the Hurricanes will win this game. I don't have the money line right in front of me, but if I don't recall, it was priced a little bit too much outside of my liking. Um, Once you get into too much of that juice, it was what burned me on my Marlins play the other day. And playoff hockey, you can get a scrappy, rough, knock 'em, sock 'em, good old fashioned 7 game series, and it be a 1 versus a 8, a 2 versus a 7. Playoff hockey is different than the regular season. Now, as I said, I'm with the over on the 5.5. And yeah, and so there we have it. And if you're watching this video, a little bonus, or you could say recap, uh, from the first video, Manchester City should be playing in a couple hours. I found the money line originally at 105 for them to win outright. Um, they played strong and hard. We had a lot of goals in that first matchup. Yeah, and as I said in that video, there's nothing that's occurred to make me feel any different. I think Manchester City will win outright. So hopefully that's another ticket that we cash tomorrow and have another profitable day here at B.A.M. That's your lunch table roundup, folks. Everybody take care out there.